Hey, is this thing on? Hello? Hit it again. I think it's on now. Welcome to Hiker Trash Radio, where each week, Doc will drag some colorful characters out of the woods to talk trail and Type 2 fun. If you're aspiring hiker trash, or if you're just looking to understand the hiker trash in your life, look no further. So lace up those boots, gnaw on some jerky, and settle into your 20-mile pace as we fire up the podcast from somewhere deep in the backcountry. It's time to embrace the suck.
Welcome back to another week on the trail, dirtbags, hiker trash, and of course, those great smelling day hikers. I'm Doc, and this is Hiker Trash Radio. Hey, if you like what we're doing over here, help us out. Take just a minute, leave us a review on Apple Podcasts. And if you don't like what we're doing, well, just go ahead and keep that to yourself. All right, let's get to this week's special guest, Josh Bingham, whose life itinerary makes a thru hike look like a simple stroll. He has traded the pressure of Michelin-starred kitchens for the chaos of the high seas and the tranquility of the jungle. Welcome to Hiker Trash Radio, Josh. How's it going?
Hey, Doc. How's it going? Thanks for having me. I'm happy to be here.
Absolutely. I'm excited to talk. I'm just going to get this out of the way right quick, right up front, so everybody knows. Josh, you are a chef on, I forget the name of the boat, Super Yacht with Captain Sandy on Below Deck Mediterranean. The season, as we're recording right now, the season is currently live. So I'm a huge fan. My family, we watch Below Deck on the regular, and really enjoying this season with you in it.
Yeah, thanks, Doc. So the boat is called Bravado, and this was actually only my second boat. So it was an interesting move from only one boat to that boat, and with cameras involved. But now I'm enjoying the season being aired. It's been a fun experience so far.
Now, the previous boat was not a below deck boat.
No, that was with my old boss, Nathan Mervold, who is a chef and author, and he used to work for Microsoft. That's how he got his money, and then then he transitioned into a chef. Working for him was really good training for Below Deck.
Okay, we're going to hear more about that in a little bit. Now, Josh, have you had a chance to listen to the podcast before?
Yes, so I've been listening this last week. I wasn't aware until you got in touch with me. So yeah, it's been good to listen to some of the stuff you've had on there. And yeah, like I said in emails, how I found myself on a hiker podcast is really cool. And I'm very grateful. But yeah, some incredible stories and like some incredible people that you connect with. So yeah, it's cool.
Well, I think the key is that you live a life of adventure, and we're always looking for some insights into how to live that life of adventure. So I appreciate you joining us and taking a chance on being on a hiking podcast.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, definitely love the adventure, and cooking and music definitely brings the adventure and an ability to travel. So
nice. And as we're talking right now, where are you calling in from?
So I'm in Melbourne in Australia. So I moved here about 3 months ago. And I'm just here working on my music project. I'm actually not working at the minute, so I'm just giving like full devotion to this project at the minute. And it's like a few dreams that need to be, and itches that need to be scratched. So, but yeah, studying music at a uni here.
Okay, great. Now, on the podcast, we usually go by trail names. Are you familiar with the trail name phenomena?
So I was asking my girlfriend about this because I wasn't actually sure, but I have a name. I think, if this is right.
Okay.
It's only just come this last week. I'm like, okay, what is my trail name?
Perfect. So yeah, let me just explain it a little bit. So
okay,
especially on the American trails, the long trails, the PCT, the AT, the CDT, thousands of miles go from border to border, from Mexico to Canada. Hikers tend to pick up and give each other trail names. So something happens on the trail, or they talk a certain way, or something funny happens, and all of a sudden they're known as cheesebird. I'm sorry, cheesebeard or poop hands or extra or something, and that becomes their persona on the trail for the next several months.
So I don't know if this ties in, but throughout all of my experiences and where I'm at now, so I don't know if you know that I have my project is like an alter ego project of Johnny Zephyr, and I love the name Zephyr. So I don't know if that is a good one to have, but I want it to be a cool one, right? But so I would say Zephyr because it's like it's transformation, wind, like it is the wind and it flows, and I feel like that is like with all the hats that I've been wearing, it's like that's been part of it. It's just been a constant flow, transformation. So that's been like the trail, I guess. But I've been quite solo in my adventures, so.
Yeah, I've talked to some thru hikers who are notoriously solo, and I've asked them what their trail name is, and they're like, well, I haven't seen anybody to give me a trail name. So
Yeah.
I totally get that. But Zephyr makes sense. And I love names that kind of have multiple layers to them.
Yeah.
So the wind and transformation and how that applies to your life, I think that's beautiful.
Yeah, and I think it also flows. I feel like it's like it got a good flow to it and has a good ring to it for like a musician, kind of rock star kind of name. So I'll take that,
Nice. Yes. Okay. So for the rest of the episode tonight, I'm Doc, you're Zephyr. We're going to take a trip down the trail or through the winds, something, and we're going to talk about this life of adventure. All right. And I know you've listened to a few episodes, so you know that we do have a segment towards the end of every episode called the hiking hack. And that's where I'm going to turn to you and ask you to give some kind of advice to our listeners to make their next adventure even better. So don't be surprised when we get there.
Yeah. Cool. Let's do it.
Okay. All right. So we're going to start off with the 0-day confessional. And a 0 day on the trail is when you're not doing any miles. You're staying in the tent, or you're staying in town, and you're taking care of some other things, or you're recovering, or you're having some deep conversations with other hikers out there. So you and I taking a 0 day, and I want to ask you a question. You've worked in the most high pressure environments imaginable, Michelin kitchens and private yachts where failure is not an option. Long distance hiking means constant low grade failure. There's always something going wrong every day. Even when things are going right, there's something going wrong. And so I want to ask you, what is the one thing that you learned about coping with stress in the kitchen that unexpectedly helped you handle the chronic endurance suffering of a long, challenging journey?
Do you know, this is really simple, and for me, this has carried me through ever since I was like 16 years old when I first started in a Michelin kitchen. And it's literally the simple thing of affirmations. And that has always seemed to carry me through. And even when I started to work in like the 2 Michelin star restaurants, there was like affirmations over the kitchen wall. We used to have, this is la manual quatre saison, push yourself. And they would be all dotted around the wall. And it was like this kind of motto that would be and every morning before I would go to bed, I would write notes like when I wake up, like, okay, push yourself, this and then all these little notes. And it still is like a massive thing in my life today. And even before I went on like below deck, it was like journaling, like affirmations to myself, like to really battle with those confidence issues that I can sometimes have, So I feel like when it gets tough in the travels, it's always that self-talk is like the number one thing to like keep me going, I guess. And it's because I know that I can push my body to a certain limit, but it's usually the mind that kind of stops things from happening. So I feel like it's just the battle against here most of the time, and that's the same for like, yeah, in kitchens, in a ayahuasca journey, in whatever it may be, in pursuing music and like dealing with your own confidence. It's like constant work of self-belief, I feel. So yeah, I think that's probably it.
That's brilliant. I mean, that applies to so many different situations, and in any journey, it seems like more than half the battle is the mental aspect of it. And so having these positive, repetitive affirmations seems like a great strategy.
Yeah, and some people really kind of gloss over them, but I feel like, yeah, if you're entering with words of affirmation, even as you wake up and you're connecting with them, then you've already like one up on your mind. Because the natural order of the mind is to come in with negative stuff in the morning. It's like, oh, I feel this, I feel that, and it's like, okay, where's the gratitude? Where's the kind of self-belief here? It's weird. The mind's strange, hey?
Very strange. And that's why I enjoy talking to people. I get to talk to a lot of strange people. Now, if we were to take a look in Zephyr's bathroom, on the bathroom mirror, what is the one affirmation that you return to or you go back to that's either written on the mirror or unwritten, but
It's so
what you say to yourself?
because we've just moved into an apartment here, and I've just literally stuck some affirmations on the mirror. And I guess it's I am worthy of my dreams, and that is I believe in myself to do this. I am good enough. I guess it's all of those things. Um, I feel like maybe working in kitchens of like such a, especially Michelin, and especially kind of 15 years ago when I first started out, or maybe a bit longer, there was definitely this kind of, at the time, really intense, but you can call it bullying, abuse. I don't know. It was like, at the time, it was just like normal, whatever. And I don't really see it as like a bad thing, but maybe it's kind of affected some confidence, some ways that I spoke about myself for many years. And that's probably why I kind of like, you know, went into the drugs a little bit heavier than normal, maybe. I don't know. But yeah, I feel like that time maybe affected the self-talk. I don't know.
Yes, but I like that. You are good enough. You are worthy
Yeah,
of the successes that you experience.
100%.
Those-
And there's always as well, there's people out there doing things who are less skilled than you, but they just have more belief than you. So
Right.
I kind of remember that as well, because there is people out there doing things that I'm doing that I want to do, and they maybe have a little bit more just self-belief, but not as much skill. So it's always important. We always like, we need to be better, we need to be better and get better, and like then we don't do anything.
All right. Hey, let's get to our next segment.
Trailblazers Toolkit.
That's right. It's time for the Trailblazers Toolkit, sponsored by the ultralight backpacking gear company 6 Moon Designs. Now, Zephyr, you've had to pack for everything from the jungle to a yacht. So when you're packing for a long-term, multimodal travel period, say 6 months across Central and South America, what is the one highly versatile, non-clothing, non-tech item that you always prioritize in your pack because it is multiple use? What is that
Well,
item in your toolkit?
well, can I say two items
Sure.
or one?
Absolutely. No. I enjoy multiple. Yeah.
So, I mean, look, as a musician who wants to make music, the first thing always, and also when this relates back to words of affirmation and all of those things, is the journal. One, as we are on the trail, we are creating a story. So let's document this. Also, songwriting. When inspiration strikes, the journal is there. When I need my affirmations, the journal is there. Plus, for the thing that ties in with that is just having a travel acoustic guitar. Not only can be a weapon, right?
Yeah.
But the acoustic guitar literally is the one thing that always comes with me when I travel. And I don't know, because I'm not a hiker, like fully, I feel like I'm not a hiker, like going through what the other guys on the podcast do, but in a different sense, I guess I am. But these tools, they need to be with me along the way. That's the first thing that came to my mind when you said that. So, I mean, other people might be like, the tools, right? I guess that's my tool. It's a bit different.
Nice. Zephyr, we are all travelers. Some of us just take different paths, but we're all on a journey.
It's true. That's true.
And I love that the multiple use of the acoustic guitar as a musical instrument and a possible weapon.
But also, with the acoustic guitar, like there's always, I hate to be that guy who sits around a campfire and sings Wonderwall from Oasis, but it doesn't have to be that song, but it can be so many different ways of connecting with other people, and that can help bring community, and all of those things that you struggle with when we don't have our sense of self or community or home base when we're traveling. So the music is like such a universal thing, you know. So it helps all travelers, I feel.
Yes, it does. Couple things on that. One is I have great admiration for musicians because I really have a hard time even playing the radio. So anybody that can play a musical instrument with any kind of confidence, I have very, very high regard for. So thank you for that. And then, you know, you're right about music bringing us together. We had a hike that was going to go through Yosemite National Park. And the night before it started, we were sitting around a campground. It's a pretty big campground. There were a lot of different groups there. And some guy was there in front of the campfire with a guitar and just singing. He probably sang for 2 hours and everybody was just vibing around him. And it was just a magical time.
And that's the thing, like you remembered that moment and like that sticks with you. So it's like, that's, I feel like with music, it's so important, and it just really, yeah, like you said, brings people together, helps create the memories.
And I don't think he played Wonderwall either.
Yeah, that's banned from campfires.
All right, let's keep going down this this path with our next segment.
It's the hiking poll.
That's right. It's time for the hiking poll, and that's poll spelled with 2 L's, like a survey, not like those things that hikers have in their hands out there. The hiking poll is sponsored by Triple Crown Coffee, dedicated to the craft of fine coffee and the preservation of our national scenic hiking trails. For each pound of coffee sold, Triple Crown Coffee donates $1 to the nonprofit organization working to protect that trail. All right, Zephyr, this is a 10-question survey that's going to help me give you a score on the sanity scale from 1 to 100, with 1 being completely insane and 100 being completely sane. And the last 5 questions in this survey will be rapid fire to give us some insight into your psyche. Now, just a heads up, there's an automatic 30-point deduction for anybody whose life path has taken him from circus makeup to super yachting. So your top possible score tonight is 70. What do you think?
Yeah, that sounds good. So hang on, 1 is the sane. No, 1 is insane.
1 is insane.
Okay, 100 is sane.
Correct. But your top possible score is 70, and I have a feeling we're not going to get close to that either.
Okay.
Are you hoping for a high score or a low score?
I don't know. I feel like I'm fairly sane, but who knows? We'll see.
Well, Zephyr, I'll be the judge of that today.
Yeah, guys, be the judge.
Okay, here we go. Some of these questions, the first 5 questions, you'll feel free to take a little bit longer to elaborate if you have to, or even tell a story to kind of make your point.
Okay.
All right, here we go. Question number 1. What was the worst mistake you've made in the kitchen?
I once came into work, and I'm going to try and do this as quick as I can. There's been so many. Oh my God. Okay, let's do this one. I once overcooked 150 quails, and that got me one of the biggest bollockings of my life for a very important day. And the chef really went really in on me, if you want to call it that, and made me also come in the next day with a check for the quails. So that one always sticks in my mind. But there's so many. I mean, we used to have this boiling pot of water where we used to like add purees in, and we used to cook it sous vide. And I came in one morning and it was just like pot of water, and I was like, oh, like someone's put my water on for me. And then like I just chucked all these purees in, and it was someone's fish shoe. And they were not too happy. That was like one of my first jobs, and I was like 16. But yeah, there's so many, man. I mean, would you like more?
Sure, I'll take one more, but I also want to ask, how much does 150 quail cost?
That check was, if I remember rightly, they were quite cheap, the quails at the time. I think it was like, they were like £3.50 a bird. So times that by 3. But I was broke then. So that was not fun. And I don't think that, but you know, it taught me a lesson, I guess.
Yeah, let's hear one more. This is going to help me with my scoring of you.
Yeah, one of the worst things also is Wow, God. Which one do I choose? Which one do I choose? Was also another. Can I say one that's bad on my behavior?
Sure.
Yeah. So this is a really shameful moment, but I actually grabbed a guy once here and pushed his head into a recipe pack. This is old Josh Bingham, but this is a very. I have to talk about it to get it out of me because, and yeah, it's a very not proud moment and a big mistake, and one that I learned from. And that I feel was like a journey through to being like a reflection of myself and being like, okay, you need to change because you're acting the way that you got taught, you got treated. So I feel like that was a big, big mistake that kind of like really like shifted some things. I was like, okay, I've been quite bad, and that's like now getting to a point where it's like getting the violence that you experienced back then is now coming out here. So
That's right. I mean, if we all just kept perpetuating the way we've been treated, and that just goes down through history, it takes a bold person to break the chain, to break the pattern.
Exactly. And I feel like it's quite a vulnerable thing to share, but like at the same time, I do remember it being like a big like change for me. Once that happened, I was like, okay, I actually need to really look at myself here.
Well, I want to thank you for sharing. We usually don't get deep this early in the episode. We're already getting deep. So I appreciate you going there. And I just want to tell people who may not have watched Below Deck Med this season that that was the old Josh, because I have seen no trace of that in the current Josh.
Yeah. So again, like so it's like the transition, the transformation, the journey to that point was, that was kind of like the starting point when I started to see that I was starting to behave like that. And then I was like, right, I need to really stop this,
Okay. That was question number one.
Oh. I'm already on the one.
Question number two, who was your favorite super yacht guest?
On the Below Deck or for and ever? I would say do you know what, actually, the really favorites we had, there's a show coming up, the episode coming up, but they were just, I think her name was Carly, I don't even know if I can say it, Carly Newman or something like that, but they brought the vibe. We were allowed to kind of party with them, get dressed up in like leopard skin flares and play music with them. And yeah, I really enjoyed that group, and they were just like a lot of fun on the boat. A lot of guests on my last boat were like very like kind of family kind of orientated. They weren't like too much crazy people. So Below Deck brought that craziness, and those guys on that episode, which is coming up in a couple of weeks, were good fun, and we get to have fun with them. And yeah, I just love getting all like dressed up and being all crazy and weird or whatever.
Now, this is not question number three. This is a follow-up to question number two. I'm not going to ask you to name any names, but what makes for a difficult super yacht guest?
I guess a difficult super yacht guest is, it's not necessarily the dietaries. Like I know like they kind of say that on Below Deck and they make me kind of like say a few things or whatever about dietaries, but it's more just the energy that they bring. If they are, you can just pick up immediately if someone is like super difficult, and if they experience a moment of hunger, they're like, I'm hungry and I need something now. It's like they can't just wait like a couple of hours for dinner. It's like they can't deal with people who can't deal with any sort of pain. I always feel it's like, and I feel like billionaires or something, they get into this mindset where like they have everything, and then not everyone obviously, but like I've experienced a lot of people like this, and they make things difficult because if any sort of problem, it's like they complain, and nothing can be, like you guys say, embrace the suck. They can't embrace the suck. It's like everything has to be like perfect at all times. So, and then they're never actually happy. So that to me is like someone, they just can't kind of have like equanimity about a situation. Everything they are very attached to a certain outcome.
Yeah, they wouldn't be good through hikers. You have to really be comfortable being uncomfortable. And
Yeah,
that doesn't
exactly.
sound like one of their strong suits.
100%. And that's what you really notice when you're in that world, you know.
All right. Question number 3. What is the best genre of music? And name the group that defines it.
Okay, so I mean, it's so hard to say the best, right? But like, obviously, this band, I don't know if you are aware of them. They are actually from California back in the 90s. But I always, if it wasn't for them, I wouldn't be making music. But the Brian Jones Town Massacre is the band name, and they are like rockers and very kind of like 60s, 70s revival. They bring that kind of summery, shoegazy, psychedelic tone, which I love. And there's a documentary that I highly recommend everyone watching, and that's definitely a journey for fans. If anyone's into rock and roll, it's called Dig, and it's the Dandy Warhols and the Brian Jones Massacre, and it's an incredible rock and roll documentary. So highly recommend if anyone wants to watch that. But they became famous from that, but their story is incredible, and the fact that he's still going is wild. But great music and a creative powerhouse and very inspiring. It's inspired a lot of psychedelic bands. The reason I'm in Australia is because of psychedelic music as well.
Okay. Question number 4. What is the best meal you've ever prepared?
I feel like, again, that's like almost if you ask a musician like what their best song is that they've played, they'll at one point it might be that one, and at one point it might be this. But I will always come back to the beautiful dish my way, and I feel like it's a refined way because it's a very hearty, homey dish done in France called bouillabaisse. So it's basically a dish where you use the whole, sorry for the vegetarians out there, but whole bones of the fish, and it uses tomatoes, from, the Mediterranean, fennel, there's Pernod, there's saffron, there's loads of garlic, there's, all this kind of shellfish bones that kind of get roasted and it gets cooked out, and then you can put that into a dish in a really refined way. I actually did it for one of the raviolis on Below Deck, and even Captain Sandy, who is one of the hardest people to please with food, she even enjoyed it. So, yeah, done like the classic way. It's very rustic, but you can do it in a really refined way. But I love cooking that, and I love serving it, and I love eating it. So I always come back to that, and it just brings the essence of classical French cooking.
Zephyr, I've got to take you out on my next through hike. I would
Yeah.
love eating your meals.
Yeah. Hopefully I can bring some nice ingredients on the hike.
All right. Question number 5. Are you familiar with the term hiker trash? I mean, you're on Hiker Trash Rated. Did you look that up and figure out what that's all about?
Like hiker trash meant, I thought that was just maybe the name of your kind of your vibe, I guess.
Yeah, it is definitely the vibe, but it is back in the day, it was used as a negative term towards hikers out there. Like non-hikers would refer to them as hiker trash. And then there came a moment in the evolution of through hiking where people just leaned into that and really adopted that as kind of a lifestyle or a term to be proud of. And so it's when you kind of find yourself on the outside of society. You're outside the boundaries, outside the rules. You find yourself doing things that you wouldn't do back home. And so question number 5 is, what is your most hiker trash moment? And I want you to think of it that way. When have you found yourself doing something in a situation that you would not do at home, with the family around the table?
Well, can I talk about the clown stuff here?
You can talk about the clown stuff.
Up in this situation and this moment, and I just remember feeling like, how the hell did I end up here? Almost like, how the hell did I end up on a hiker radio podcast? But it was, I'm in the middle of a jungle in Central America, and I'm with all of like friends and stuff, and they're asking me to perform as a clown in a circus, and then the next thing I know, I'm like doing rehearsals for a show for an hour and a half on New Year's Eve, and it was one of the most incredible experiences of my life. But like, if I had taken that back home, even the stuff I was sharing online, everyone was like, Josh has lost it. Like, he really lost it, But that was an incredible time, and one of those moments where the whole, you never expect that to happen, and then it just all of a sudden you're just in this portal, I guess, with lots of travelers, lots of eccentrics, crazy, strange people, and like I feel like that's where I like to stay.
You found your people.
Yeah, I had one of my life that night, and I remember just experiencing something that I'd never experienced before, with like almost like a loss of ego, and it was a very like strange experience, and I can't explain it to people very well, but it was it really changed something in me. I don't know. It also brought a lot of confidence to do something like that. You're just like, I don't know. It's really strange.
Zephyr, I'm just going to point out there's a lot of parallels to what you just described to through hiking. I mean, you find yourself with a bunch of like-minded people who are kind of outside the bounds of normal society. You are kind of transported to a different experience out in the middle of nowhere on these long hikes. And the feeling of trail community sounds like the same kind of community you were involved in. So, I mean, there's so many parallels. It's awesome.
And I'm always seeking out community as well. Like that's where I feel like it takes you.
Okay, so that was the first half, the longer half, as it might be, of the hiking poll. These next 5 questions are kind of rapid fire. You don't have to do a lot of explanation. I just want you to make a choice.
Okay.
All right, here we go. Question number 6. Choose between the two of these. Your best kitchen knife or the best hiking multi-tool?
I guess it would be best hiking multi-tool.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because a kitchen knife can only do a certain thing, right? If you've got a multi-tool, there's more there.
You surprised me there, Josh.
Do you know what? I surprised myself too.
Okay. Question number 7. City buzz or jungle silence?
Jungle silence.
Question number 8. Did you choose the most stressful, which is the most stressful environment? The yacht galley or a Michelin kitchen?
Yacht galley is the most stressful.
Okay.
If you're a sole chef, yacht galley is the most stressful.
Question number 9, coffee, tea, or green juice?
As an Englishman, tea.
And question number 10, what's the best life lesson you've learned from your circus experience?
The best life lesson, I guess, is to, trust. Trust that it might not always seem like things are feeling okay, but trust that you are on the right path, because yes, that circus experience definitely helped me just trust in the process, I guess, and trust myself. That's I don't know if that's a good life lesson, but it works.
Oh, that's good. That's good, because before I tell you your score, before I go through the calculation, I want to just go back to that, the right path. I'm always on the lookout for a trail name for the episode, something that happens during our talk that kind of stands out to me that might end up being the title of the episode. And because we're talking about choices tonight and, the trails we go down and how I think some people who work the 9 to 5 and work for 35 years, 40 years, and then go to take their pension, they might think they're on the right path. But I think that phrase right there, the right path, that might end up being the title for this episode. Yeah.
And I feel like to do like anything that is out of societal norms, you really have to trust that path, trust the process, because you just have to trust that everything is going to be okay. Because there's part of your brain that has this conditioning of like, oh, I need to be doing the retirement stuff and going down this path and being safe and secure. I read a great book recently called by Sadhguru called Death. Great book. I'm very into like learning more about how to like become better at dealing with death and grief and whatever. And he talks about security, and security is, in the book he says, like, security is an illusion. You can take, like, this life is so fragile and we just try and cling on to some sort of sense of security, but like it's all an illusion and none of it's real. So there's I wouldn't say forget about your pension, Jesus Christ, but you know, there's definitely lessons in that line that he said, and I mean, Sadhguru's a legend, so I don't know.
All right. Well, now comes the mathematical portion of the episode, Zephyr. I'm going to take your answers. I'm going to run them through the Hiker Trash Radio algorithm. It's a very complicated mathematical formula. Got to take off my shoes. We're going to use all 20 digits here. Let's see. I got to carry the 3. We're going to multiply that by pi. Going to divide by root 5, of course. And I'm going to make a slight adjustment for the amount of money you had to pay for those 150 overcooked quails.
Yeah.
And I come up with a score of 27.
Oh, wow.
27.
I think that's pretty good, no?
I think that's something to be proud of right there.
Yeah. Nice.
All right. Hey, Zephyr, before we go to break, just give us a quick synopsis of where you grew up and how did you end up on this path out of traditional society? I know it's kind of a big question, but kind of give us the bare bones on that.
Bare bones. I grew up in England in a restaurant. My dad's a chef. All my brothers are chefs. And my dad inspired me. I just wanted to cook and travel the world. That was my goal. Never at the start was it music, but I wanted to be good at what I was doing. And then I took the Michelin path, did my training. From that, I was then able to travel and go and work in amazing places and do things a bit differently. And I feel like that was kind of the way. Cooking has always been the catalyst to be able to kind of take these different paths, and just trying to like weave it in outside into society. But the biggest lesson again was rehab and a spiritual awakening that I experienced that even pushed me further to go, right, none of this is actually important. What's important is me and what I want to do in my life, and really trying to understand what that was.
Okay. That's the perfect stopping point. We're going to take a quick break. We're going to hear from some of our sponsors. And when we come back, we're going to get back to that right path and how it got dark and how you got out of that and what that path has led you to. So everybody stay tuned for that. We'll be right back. And welcome back. We are talking to Josh Bingham, also known tonight as Zephyr. And that was a great first segment, a very interesting hiking poll and a really unanticipated low score for you. So congratulations on that. I do have a few questions I want to follow up from your comments right before we went to break. You mentioned you had brothers. How many brothers do you have?
I have 2 brothers, both chefs, both working on yachts.
Older or younger?
Both younger.
Okay, so you're the oldest child.
Yeah, they saw me working on boats and saw the money that I was earning. They were like, okay, I want a piece of that.
You're kind of a role model then.
Yeah, I guess I am to them, and they like look up to me, and kind of, yeah, I see myself as like I do the big brother role basically, for sure. But like we're like a chain, and we kind of keep each other together, almost like sponsors. And if one breaks the chain, we have to kind of recalibrate, you know.
You said your dad was a chef also.
Yeah, that is, or was, he's kind of stopped now, but he was a chef. They had a restaurant, my mum and dad, from the ages of 14 to when I was 28, 29. Dad cooked his whole life. Crazy cat he is. You can only imagine.
Now, do chefs have their own specialties, something that they're particularly good at? And if so, what were the specialties, or what are the specialties of the 4 of you?
So yeah, my dad was a pub chef and stuff, and then he used to have on the menu Dean's famous pork belly, and he did it his like own way and all this kind of stuff. But yeah, my dad was very kind of like, I don't know if you know Jamie Oliver, kind of very rustic, kind of good light Italian kind of flavors. He almost looks Italian, but he's not. But yeah, very very light, refined kind of pub cooking. But yeah, his pork belly was famous within the town. So, but I don't know. It's an okay dish.
And how about the 3 brothers? What are their specialties?
I would say again, because they come from this pub background. It's one of my brothers does like a really great like risotto, like a mushroom risotto, um, and that's his kind of like thing that he likes to pull out every time. And who's it? Yeah, my other brother's like really into bread. His like specialty is bread. So he's always working on like new ways of sourdough, new different hydrations and all this kind of stuff. So he's like really kind of got into that the last few years and fermentation and stuff. So not necessarily a dish. It's really hard sometimes to like nail a dish and say that because even that changes, you know.
That's right. And the third brother being you, we heard about your specialty in the first segment.
Yeah, so bouillabaisse is like
Yes.
but I mean I can do whatever and I like to do whatever, but I definitely have also gotten really into bread the last few years.
Okay. Now in the kitchen, it's a high stress environment. For anybody who's watched The Bear out there, you know what I'm talking about. There's a lot going on. There's a lot of pressure, a lot to keep track of. And I have to imagine, like in any high pressure situation, there comes the allure of maybe dangerous choices, some bad habits, something to help you deal with the chaos. And I know that you talked a little bit in the first segment, you alluded to maybe some dark times. Is that how it started for you? And how dark did it get?
Yeah, I mean, well, you know, when you start taking off drugs, the kitchen life definitely attracted me because of this. Like, it's like its own little counterculture, you know. And you got all these people who are taking drugs, and that is like really attractive. And that was why I kind of wanted to get into that world. It was like the closest way to be a rock star, but you're not a rock star, you know. And yeah, so at the start it's fun and stuff, but then when you're working 16, 17 hours a day, and then after shift you're, you know, taking cocaine, then it starts to, you know, become more and more and more, and then you're broke, and then it becomes something you need instead of what you want. And then it's, yeah, I guess it can get a little bit dark and almost, you know, you're just pushing your body to like ridiculous limits as well, because you're working like 16 hours a shift, you're not hardly eating, and then when you finish work, you're, whether it's cocaine or alcohol or whatever, that makes you not eat, and then you know become super skinny, and just like work suffers, and yeah, there's so much to it, I guess.
Now, people who are caught up in that cycle, often they do not realize how bad it is. Usually they are existing and they're just continuing the cycle and living their life. And it takes a moment, a really dark moment, to really have a breakthrough of, you know what, I need to change what I'm doing. Did that happen to you?
Yeah, so from what I've learned about addiction and is everyone has their own rock bottom, and that can be so different for everyone. But I definitely experienced a feeling of rock bottom where I feel like sometimes people scrape people along, like in relationships, they can scrape a relationship along and bring other people along until, because they don't reach their rock bottom. But allowing someone to reach it, to let them, even though you want to, you know, keep them safe, allowing that person to reach the rock bottom is actually probably the safest thing you can do. So I reached mine, and that was a catalyst for change. And yeah, sometimes there's many rock bottoms along the road, I guess, and each one will be relating to a different thing that needs to be looked at. So yeah, there was a few along the road.
And at this time, were you working in Michelin restaurants?
The first rock bottom I had was when I was on Necker Island, and I was on holiday from Necker Island, sorry, vacation. And then I experienced like a feeling of rock bottom, and then I went back to Necker Island. Then the hurricane happened, and then I experienced another rock bottom when I moved to Bali. And again, that was like there was one behavior that I had a rock bottom in, and then another behavior that I also had a rock bottom in. And it was like, okay, I need to change from both. But each one kind of started to support the change, I guess.
And Necker Island, where is Necker Island?
So Necker Island is Richard Branson's private island in the British Virgin Islands. And it's just like a tiny, tiny little island just off Virgin Gorda. And there's like another nearby island called Tortola. And yeah, it's one of the most beautiful places that you can ever dream of working. And to work and live on a private island was one hell of an experience. And the people that came through, you know, celebrities that we cooked for, wow, like truly amazing.
We're going to get back to rock bottom in just a second, but how did you find yourself on Richard Branson's private island?
So the restaurant I worked in called Le Manoir au Quatre Saisons, 2 Michelin star restaurant in Oxford, they had ties with Richard. Richard used to invest into that restaurant, and it's a very famous restaurant in the UK. And the chefs Richard would always call up Le Manoir, have you got any chefs? We are looking for chefs. They were looking for a head chef. My friend got the head chef position. I was like, man, like, I was working in London after this. I was like, get me a job, man, if you can. And he was like, you know, come and be the sous chef. And then before you know it, I'm out there. It was amazing. We had all of our friends in the kitchen, and you're on Necker Island, you're allowed free alcohol and free cigarettes. So you can only imagine what a bunch of 26-year-olds were doing. And you've got like partying with billionaires and just wild stories that are just, very grateful to have been there. In my first 2 weeks, I was drumming. So I was playing guitar. We were doing Little Red Rooster, and Roger Taylor was on the drums next to me from Queen. And I was like, what? How have I ended up here? You know, that's another moment. And then I don't know if you know the musician Paolo Nutini, but he's a great artist from England. He came and we partied with him for 5 days. That was kind of like a real cool moment. He was a character as well.
I bet there were a bunch of characters on Necker Island.
Yeah, Kate Winslet on Richard's private boat and stuff, and her husband. That was quite cool.
All right, back to rock bottom. So you at some point you have these series of rock bottoms that all kind of reinforce the message to you that something's got to change. What do you do at that point?
I guess it's first of all changing the behavior and going, okay, I need to take away this what I'm doing because I know it's not serving me, and I want to be better as a person. I know this is not helping. And there was a relationship that was asking me to be better, you know, and you need to step up if you want this relationship to work. So that was kind of that. And then also, so the second time was like more of like, the second rock bottom I had was like, okay, why am I doing these things? And I need to understand, I want to understand why and try and figure out like where these behaviors are coming from, whether it be like hurting people in a relationship or the drinking, the drugs. And why do I take drugs, you know? So when the deeper questions came out, I looked for external help, and I sought out a life coach who I was quite inspired by when I was living in Bali. And that was the catalyst to, you know, he challenged me to 3 months sober. And I haven't touched alcohol since. And that was like nearly 7 years ago now. So
congratulations.
So much. It's been like the best. I can only, if anyone is thinking about being sober, they're sober curious, I can highly recommend it. Is one of the most amazing, fulfilling things that you will ever experience. And the work that you can put into your personal projects, the insane focus that you have, your creative projects you're gonna really put some work into them, because I feel like that's what we're here to do, is create things, and like the alcohol and the drugs become a distraction to that.
Now, once you found yourself sober, and I again, going back to my below deck watching, I noticed that when the crew gets off the boat and they go to dinner or go to other activities that the show has planned for them, everybody else is got 1 or 2 glasses in their hands, going at it, and you don't. You're maintaining your sobriety. How tough is it in that situation?
Yeah, so I've got to a point now where like I'm comfortable. Like I like partying, and I still party, and that's what I always say to people who want to get sober. Like, you can still party. Doesn't mean you're going to be boring. Like, it's just about building the confidence to get to that point where you can do it without needing a drink. I can still dance crazy. I can do whatever. I still look naked on below deck, you know. Me getting naked on below deck was me going, you can still do crazy things sober, you know. Like, whatever. You can just be crazy. And
And people at that point say, wow, he's sober doing that. That's how wild that guy is.
yeah, I'm sure it's creepy, but it was actually me going, do you know what? Let's be silly here. That's all. But and spending too much time in a hippie community is too much skinny dipping, you know. But yeah. So what was the question? Sorry.
How tough is it maintaining your sobriety in a situation like that with, you know, being with a bunch of people off the yacht who are drinking to excess?
So I find it okay now. And I'm happy with, and I'm confident in myself to deal with those situations. And I don't feel like it triggers me because I just enjoy my sobriety so much and I just would never go back. So it doesn't even like bother me that I'm around that. But it definitely is very tiring sometimes, especially when you've worked like 18 hours on the boat. You know, I'm not getting breaks when I'm on below deck. The rest of the guys are getting breaks. And, you know, we go straight from charter, straight out. So it's quite tough in that sense for energy levels. But I just had to push through, and you know, especially when you got cameras on you as well, like it adds another layer of like, you know, stuff, you know. But yeah, it's not hard for me anymore. I enjoy it so much that I would never go back, and I just love my sobriety. So
now the life coach challenged you to do 3 months sober, and here we are 7 years later. Did you just white knuckle it, or did you have any kind of assistance through some kind of a program?
no, I basically I call it like the spiritual a la carte menu. When I went to the rehab, it was like, because I went from that life coach to a rehab in Thailand, and then that was part of the plan of the life coach. Okay, we're going to do this and see how this goes. And there I had AA meetings, therapy. I was starting to practice, you know, spiritual practices, meditation, yoga, you know, the whole spiritual a la carte menu, as they call it. And then I found something that I really landed on, which was Ashtanga yoga. And that really was like something that I really connected with, and really I could feel a lot of change shifts happening within my body, within my mind. And I just started to like really take my sobriety seriously. So at the start, there was definitely a lot of support. And I saw a therapist for about 3 years because I moved back to London for a bit, but I would always have, like, when I was on the boat with him, I'd have sessions with him online and stuff. And it got to the point where I started to just trust myself enough and be like, and I didn't like AA because I feel like AA, and I'm sorry if anyone's in AA, but I feel like AA, they make it feel like there's something wrong with you. And I don't believe there's anything wrong with us because we're taking drugs. It's just part of our story, and it's just part of life that we're going to go through these things, you know. Just because we've taken drugs doesn't mean we're sick, like AA says. And that's my opinion. And Captain Sandy is in AA, and she doesn't like my views on that, and that's fine. But I don't feel like there's something wrong with me. If anything, like it's a blessing to have gone through what I've gone through, and then come out the other side, and then have what I've experienced now, because I've got stories to tell, experiences to help people, and I feel like that's important, you know.
Now, did you come from a religious household growing up?
No, like complete opposite. No religion at all. If anything, it would be laughed at. So when I first started getting into spirituality, and I started using terms of the universe or whatever, like, you know, and having faith in something greater than myself. And even when you go into AA, the you know, handing over your stuff to God or whatever, that was very foreign to me, and foreign to even to speak about with my family and stuff.
And can you share with us the difference between organized religion and spirituality? Do you have a good kind of context for that?
I guess, like, the religion is, I feel like it's something that's been created by a human, and spirituality is kind of just what is. I don't know if that even makes sense, but I feel like religion is like certain beliefs that people have created, and that can work for some people. That's fine. I don't think it does work for the whole of the world, because it creates division. Whereas with spirituality, it's more of like a feeling that, like, of oneness, and a feeling of that we are all kind of one and stuff. So I feel like through psychedelic exploration that most people come to that realization when you are experiencing a psychedelic journey. And And I feel like that people who go through the psychedelic journey, I feel like can relate to that point of like we are one, instead of like all this division of like you should follow this religion and that. And so, but each their own, the world is a complex place.
It is complex, and with that in mind, I wanted to ask: Does the psychedelic journey conflict with sobriety?
That's a good point, actually, because that was very something that when I first got sober that I was kind of conflicted with. And I basically, because especially in AA, like that is like not a thing. Like anything that changes your consciousness or makes you high, then is conflicting with that. But for me, if used in the right way and are used in a healthy and safety way, like you're not using it as a party drug, then I feel like you can get a huge amount of insight into your past, yourself, how you want to show up in the world, healing. It can also cleanse you. Like you're going, especially with ayahuasca, like you're purging a lot of stuff out, and you go in there like in a fasted state. You're not allowed to drink alcohol, 3 months beforehand, because you're there to like purify your body and purify your spirit, your mind. So for me, like I don't necessarily see him as a drug. They call it California sober now, and some people won't agree with that and whatever. But like I'm not. If you do a psychedelic experience, you are not going to want to do it again for a while. If it's potent enough and strong enough, there is no way that you're going to want to go, okay, I want to go and do that tomorrow. And that's what addiction is. It's like you're going to want that every day. Whereas the psychedelic experience will make you, okay, that was a lot. I need to now integrate this for 1 year, 2 years, and maybe you go back to it. Maybe you don't go back to it, but you're not doing it every day. And the more it doesn't have a tolerance. It builds up your tolerance so fast that you can't get addicted to that stuff. So
now you said organized religion would kind of get laughed at in your household. How does your current experience with spirituality, how is that being received by the family?
Yeah, good. And I've really helped my family to like through I guess I don't speak too much into the spirituality stuff, but I guess there's a lot of wisdom from Eastern philosophy that can be brought into my family household, and I feel like I've been able to help my family look at some of their own things through the support of what I know through Eastern philosophy, like even like simple things like non-attachment and just meditation techniques or whatever. But I feel like they've been able to just take some of that, and now they're the two boys, my two brothers are sober and my dad's sober. And if anyone knows my family, like that's a miracle. Like genuinely, no one would have ever saw that coming, So very proud of them all and all of us, And we went to see Oasis actually, like not so long ago, and we all went sober, and we all said it was like the best gig we've ever been to. And we went to loads of gigs together, all getting high, and it would always end in drama. And it was like one of the most kind of like beautiful gigs to just experience all that sober,
It all comes back to Oasis, doesn't it?
It does. Especially us English guys,
Now, how does Ashtanga, am I saying that right? Ashtanga yoga?
Yeah.
How does that fit into this?
Into the sobriety?
Yes, and spirituality.
Yeah, so Ashtanga is, it has like, it's called 8 limbs. So it goes through a series of steps where you would finally reach enlightenment. And the poses are just one form of those 8 steps. And, the goal of Ashtanga is actually just to be supple within the body and supple within the mind. It's not to be like an Instagram yogi or whatever but it's ultimately to be able to sit in a meditation position comfortably, and the yoga poses help that. But it's just a really great tool. It's a moving meditation, and it's a really great tool to stay fit and healthy within the mind and the body. And when you practice it and you notice the kind of benefits that it has on the mind, it's quite a strong practice. Then and as well as you're studying like yoga texts and stuff, it just all supports yoga, well, I know it's like quite a, you know, trendy thing. It's kind of has been the last few years, but ultimately, like, it's asking of you to be a better person, to be truthful, to be honest, to show up with integrity, to be disciplined. It's asked for a lot of discipline. It'll ask for many things that can relate to your work life, you know, and if you use those things that you learn through Ashtanga, routine, structure, like, it all supports your life. So it's a very great tool to have, and especially works well for people who are addicts, because it's quite intense, and addicts can sometimes be quite intense people. It really kind of gives you that intensity that, like, sometimes a person like me is a little bit intense and is after, you know. But you have to be careful not to get obsessed with it, because that world can become also unhealthy if you get obsessed with it. But it's when people say, "Oh, I don't do yoga because it's just not strong enough," but I ask anyone to try Ashtanga for 6 days a week, do that for 3 months, and I can guarantee you're going to feel strong in your body, your mind. Like, it's a really great practice. I highly recommend. So what also, well, it has a structure. It has the same poses every single day. So you show up every single day doing the same thing. And that's what the beauty of it is, because then you know what you're doing. You can get into such a meditative state instead of outwards looking at a teacher showing you what to do. You learn the sequence. Once you know the sequence, that's also a great toolkit to have when you're traveling, because you can literally pop a mat out anywhere and just do yoga, and you're always going to be, you know, wherever you go, there you are. So it's always knowing that you have that practice to help you to come back to center, because traveling can take you way off center, right?
So where has your sober journey, the last 7 years? I mean, you had all these kind of, I don't want to say missteps, because they all led to where you are today, but you had these difficult steps early on, and you follow that path to sobriety, to spirituality. You've been sober 7 years now. Where has that taken you? How has this helped you enter into this life of adventure you're currently living?
So if I didn't get sober, I would not have done so many things in my last 5 years of life. And I can only thank my sobriety for all of this. And that is recording 2 albums, starting even to write music, all my travels, because that also, I needed money for that, and I had to work very hard, and I would usually spunk my money up the wall on drugs. But I started to become a lot better with my money. I started to me and my brothers we invested in a house in Bali. I would not have done that if I wasn't sober. He wouldn't have done that if he wasn't sober. I wouldn't have done Below Deck if I wasn't sober. And what it's done is instilled so much confidence in me that I just could not ever go back to the way I was before. So it just has supported everything. And my relationships are better. My health is better. You know, I've done recently vocal coaching for my second album. You know, if I was still smoking and stuff, like, that would affect my voice. That would then affect my confidence. So, like, it just supports everything. So, and even when, you know, I wouldn't have been able to work as hard as I did on Below Deck if I was doing some days 21 hours, and I genuinely would not have been able to work as intense as I did if I was drinking. There's no way. So I like to see myself as an athlete, and a culinary athlete, whether that be, but sobriety will support the work. It will support the creativity. It will support everything.
And let's be honest. I mean, all those difficult steps led you to right here, right now, being on Hiker Trash Radio.
100%. And, like, that's the thing. That's the magic and the beauty of it. And, like, I wouldn't have this right now, this moment is because of sobriety. So, you know, and I'm just very grateful for it. With my coaching kind of certification, I'm starting to, like, coach people with sobriety, and just I love helping people, and I love showing people that sobriety is, like, it doesn't need to feel boring, and it doesn't need to be, you know, this dull AA thing where you're wrong. So I really want to, like, kind of show that and bring that out to the world, you know.
Well, Josh, congratulations to you, and please offer my congratulations to your 2 brothers and your father as well.
Thank you so much. They would appreciate that.
Now, share with us your current project that you're working on in Australia right now, and when can we expect it out?
So my project, Johnny Zephyr, is a little alter ego that I kind of created to, I guess, help with performing as well. Performing was a new thing that I was kind of getting into, and I was like, maybe if I create, also watching too many David Bowie documentaries can make you want to create an alter ego. And so I recorded one album while I was on the boat, and then I wanted to kind of, I still had more songs, and I recorded a second one, and that comes out in the new year. So the idea was to like start releasing singles during Below Deck, and I've released one off the new album, but I feel like Below Deck kind of masked the music, so I'm going to wait until Below Deck's all out and finished, and then we're going to then bring out the record. And I got working with a great label in Ireland called Fuzzed Up Records, and they kind of help like independent artists. And yeah, the album's called Nostalgia, and we've got like 3 singles to be coming out in the start of the year. So it's like really great. I feel like it's called Nostalgia, and it's got like a real nostalgic feel, and it has a lot of characters. And from my vocal training, I feel like my voice has stepped up. I feel like the composition of the songs are better, and I feel like it's a step up from my first album. So I'm really proud of it, and I can't wait to kind of share it. And it's made to vinyl as well, which is cool.
I need to get a vinyl version with the album cover autographed by you.
Yeah, I will. We will look at that, because I need to figure out how to do this, because a lot of people have asked me this, and because it's going to be shipped from Ireland, I might need to like take a trip to Ireland, get them all signed or whatever, and then we can then ship them out. So,
right.
But I'm able. They're making it to vinyl, and that's I love making things. I love making a thing that came from the mind, and then like I feel that's like some spiritual shit, from the mind comes to a physical form.
All right, Zephyr, you know where we are right now?
No, where in the sense of the podcast, or
Hiking hacks.
That's right. It's time for your hiking hack, brought to you by Otter Off the Trail Recreation, your go-to for durable, high-quality outdoor gear. So, Zephyr, you're a professional chef who understands efficiency and flavor density. Give us a highly specific culinary hack for the trail, a non-perishable ingredient, a preparation technique, or a quick recipe that elevates that boring trail food to something really special.
Well, this is an easy one, and it's very simple, and it's not too hard. But if you have an umami product within your toolkit and your ingredients, that is going to elevate any single dish that you, even if it's a bit of rice, you add that soy sauce on there, you've elevated it instantly. Any kind of ingredient always supports the umami based products. So whether that be a dashi powder, and you can take powders, that's the thing as well. So they just add like something that is going to blow the taste buds, So it's very simple.
Very simple. Add some umami to your life.
Yeah.
All right. So there you have it. This conversation is just about over. And Josh, I want to thank you for coming on. It's been a real pleasure. How can our listeners keep up with you on social media and find out about your latest adventures?
So yeah, you can find me on social media, Josh Bingham _. And then on there, I've got links in my bio. You can find my music. You can, if you want sobriety coaching, you can go to my website, www.joshbingham.com. You can also buy my first record on my website. And yeah, that's kind of it. And if you're ever in Melbourne and you enjoy yoga, I teach yoga on a Sunday at a studio here in Brunswick. So yeah, if you want to come along and sweat to some Ashtanga, then I'm there too.
Okay. Be sure to check out Hiker Trash Radio on social media as well. We are on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok. And if you have clips or any kind of stories or audio you want to send to me, you can send those to me at hikertrashradio@gmail.com.
Off the beaten path.
All right, it's time for Off the Beaten Path, brought to you by Hilltop Packs, making lightweight, durable custom gear for outdoor adventurers everywhere. And so we can't always be on the trail, Zephyr, and when we're not, we need to find a way to get our adventure fix. I'm going to ask you to maybe give a recommendation on a book, a movie, a documentary, maybe a piece of music that you can recommend to our listeners while they're struggling off trail. Any recommendations for us in that area?
Yeah, so I got the music, the documentary. If people love rock and roll, dig. Like I said at the start, please watch that. You'll thank me forever. The book is The Untethered Soul, and this is a extremely amazing book for self-development, self-help, and one that really shifted a few things in my mind. And I feel like it's for the traveler and it's for the explorer. So yeah, that book is really great. And that was it, right? I think
That's it. Yeah. Who writes The Untethered Soul?
Oh, I can't remember the author's name. I'm sorry, I can't remember, but he is a great author. He has another book as well. I can't remember the name of it, but really great author. That book really kind of, I kind of touch back to it every couple of years.
Well, that's why we have Google. I'm sure we can find that.
Yeah, you'll find it on Google.
All right. And then also I want to take a moment here to recognize maybe some different organizations out there supporting people, supporting trails, supporting hikers, supporting just community in general. And so I call this segment Pay It Forward. And I know that you have mentioned some important organizations in our conversation today, and wanted to see if you want to pick one of those organizations or maybe a different one altogether and kind of shout them out, give us a little brief synopsis, and encourage our listeners to support them.
Yeah, so I think the Amazon Watch and or Amazon Conservation Team is a one that like really speaks to me because of living in the jungles and seeing community within jungles, and the whole like they're supporting the action against deforestation and trying to support indigenous I can't ever say that word, indigenous communities. But yeah, it's something that I feel we need to support, and it means a lot because again, all of these psychedelic explorations also come from these places which can truly help people as well, and we should not be losing the essence of what they are, you know. So yeah, that's one I'd like to mention.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for that.
What have we not asked you?
And finally, just one more segment for you today. What have I not asked you that you're dying to tell us about? What did I miss tonight?
I think you got quite a lot covered, Doc, I'll be honest. There's nothing that's I mean, the only thing I would say right now is if you are in Melbourne, like, please look out for Johnny Zephyr shows. I would love to see you there in person. And yeah, we've got some live music, live performance to come, I guess. But other than that, man, there was quite a lot covered there, I feel.
When is Johnny Zephyr coming to Los Angeles?
I'm hoping this is very soon. We're going to put it out there today that Johnny Zephyr will be in Los Angeles sometime in the next 2 or 3 years. Let's put it out into the world. So yeah, hopefully.
Speak it into existence, my friend.
Exactly.
All right. Hey, we are finished. I want to thank you for coming on the podcast, Josh. Wish you safe travels and success in your musical journey. Any final shout outs to friends or family?
Shout out to my girlfriend who literally arrived from New York like a month ago, who has come on this wild ride with me and decided to do the crazy thing of just coming over here to Australia. Shout out to all my family, and proud of you all for your sobriety and just being super supportive. My mum also, and just everyone on the path of travelers, all the people I've met, all the teachers, all the wisdom that I've learned from every single person. Very grateful for everybody who has been part of that journey. And thank you to you, Doc. Also, shout out to you creating this podcast. Appreciate you having me on. And yeah, it's been fun.
Thank you, Zephyr. I'm going to put you on the spot if that's okay.
Yes.
Okay. You can shout out 3 people from Below Deck Med. Go.
Shout out to Aisha. Shout out to Kizzy, and a shout out to Nathan.
Well done, sir. All right. Listeners, thank you for tuning in. Always remember, the trail is the trail. It doesn't care if you want to go downhill. It doesn't care if it's almost dark and you're looking for a campsite. It doesn't even care if you're running around naked, completely sober on Below Deck. The trail is the trail. Embrace the sock.